Greetings, fellow Slayers, and welcome to the very first episode of Between Good and Evil, featuring Ketheric Thorm from Baldur's Gate 3. Join me as I do my best Vile impression, analyzing characters of good, evil, and anything in between. Ketheric Thorm was one of the main antagonists of Baldur's Gate 3, and one of the leaders of the Cult of the Absolute, as well as the Chosen of Myrkul, the God of Death and Lord of Bones. Once a governor, paladin, husband, and above all, father, Ketheric Thorm was not your typical villain. Voiced by the renowned J.K. Simmons, real name J. Jonah Jameson, Ketheric is intimidating, confident, and contemplative. We can tell there's more to this man than what's on the surface, if not by notes and hearsay, but by his choice of words and actions. His extreme love for his family, coupled with unforeseen tragedy, would drive Ketheric to a point of no return. Ketheric was a man trapped by grief, hate, and forces beyond his control. But you do not have to suffer the same fate. PURGE EVIL is now officially partnered with NordVPN. Protect yourself from cyber demons with NordVPN's top-tier security, keeping your data safe from the evils that lurk in cyberspace. With top-tier encryption, a strict no-logs policy, and access to content across the world, let NordVPN be your divine shield on the internet, whether you're gaming, streaming, or just browsing. Stay anonymous and secure. Use my link below to get a special deal while supporting the channel. Thank you, NordVPN. Before we begin, I want to give a big thank you to my subscribers, patrons, and channel members. This channel would not be possible without you. You all are absolute legends, and it means everything to me. If you enjoyed the video, or my best Vile impression, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to further support via Patreon, channel membership, or donations, links are below and more info on this at the end of the video. Now without further ado, let's begin. To truly understand the complexities of Ketheric Thorm, we must first learn about his origins and how he became the man we meet in the game. Not much is known of Ketheric's early life, but we do know he walked a vastly different path before ultimately succumbing to evil. Ketheric was the governor of Wraithwin in the Western Heartlands, the region surrounding what we know now as the Shadow-Cursed Lands, and lived near the town with his wife Melodia and his daughter Isabel, both of which he loved more than anything else. He also held the admiration of his subjects for being just and fair, giving us the idea of a respected and honorable leader. In these early days of his first life, Ketheric Thorm was a devout worshipper of Selunite, the goddess of the moon. In her honor, he would commission a mason known as Morfred to construct Moonrise Towers, the bastion of light, where he and his beloved family would call home. It would not be long before the first tragedy of Ketheric Thorm's life would strike. Melodia, his wife, would suddenly die of illness, leaving Ketheric in a state of grief. But for the sake of continuing to raise their daughter, he would keep outward appearances, remaining strong and keeping his Selunite ways, despite his doubts in the goddess after this disaster. The pair would live happily for a time, and with a good relationship, until, when Isabel grew older, she would begin to form a relationship with Dame Aelin, an immortal Aasimar, demigod, and daughter of Selunite herself, who was sent as an emissary to Wraithwin. The two would quickly fall in love, but Ketheric was distrustful of Aelin's intentions. Despite this, Isabel and Dame Aelin were inseparable, and the relationship between father and daughter soured. Sometime later, Isabel would suddenly pass away, similar to her mother, and this would break Ketheric. Devastated, unable to cope, and now faithless in Selunite for not saving his loved ones who worshipped her so firmly, Ketheric would renounce his devotion to Selunite and turned to Shar, Mistress of the Night and Lady of Loss, who would erase his sorrow and whose teachings were the polar opposite of her sister, Selunite. He would worship her as devoutly as his previous patron, raising a temple under Wraithwin in her name, just as he did with Moonrise Towers for Selunite. This turn would mark the true beginning of the undoing of Ketheric Thorm. The man he once was now gone. Ketheric, once loved and respected, would become feared for the darkness he would cast over Wraithwin and the atrocities he would soon commit in the name of Shar. Raising an army of dark justiciars in the newly built underground temple, he would unleash his pain upon his people, conquering the region and forcing the Selunites to convert to Shar, flee, or die. However, some would continue to worship Selunite, arranging a resistance in secret, and would later collaborate with Morfred, who, having been the one to construct Moonrise Towers, knew how to infiltrate it. During this time, Ketheric and his closest confidant, the necromancer Balthazar, lured Dame Aelin into the Shadowfell, Shar's domain, where she was captured and caged in a prison that would allow her to serve as an eternal sacrifice for Dark Justiciar initiates due to her immortality, where she would be murdered over and over as part of their trials to become anointed as full-fledged Dark Justiciars, the daughter of Seluna being tortured and exploited to build an army for Shar. In Ketheric's head, this was effectively revenge for Aelin ruining his relationship with Isabel. While Ketheric's army was ravaging the Western Heartlands, an organization known as the Harpers declared that Ketheric had committed, quote, murder, slavery, and desecration of temples most holy, and sought an alliance with the Druids of Emerald Grove to put an end to Ketheric's reign of terror. Ketheric's army was eventually pushed back to the area around Moonrise Towers, where the two opposing sides would fight a violent, bloody battle that saw massive loss of life on both sides. Notable figures involved in this battle include Jaheira of the Harpers and Halsin, Master Druid of the Emerald Grove. Deterred by the growing number of dead, the leader of the Harpers sent a letter to Ketheric, asking for his surrender to prevent further bloodshed. Ketheric swiftly denied surrender, and the casualties would continue, but not for long. A devil by the name of Raphael approached the Mason Morfrid, knowing of his despair, and offered him a deal: the destruction of the Dark Justiciar army in exchange for his soul. He accepted the deal, and the demon Yurgir, along with his Maragons, were sent into the temple, slaughtering all of Ketheric's Dark Justiciars but one that remained hidden, causing Yurgir to be stuck there, as he himself was in a contract with Raphael as well. With the destruction of Ketheric's army and the Alliance closing in on him, Ketheric would unleash the Shadow Curse before drawing his last breath, ending his first life. The hatred and rage inside Ketheric Thorm was so substantial that he sought death and plague on the world even after his demise, knowing the Shadow Curse would persist indefinitely and with enough time would spread across the land, afflicting anyone who comes in contact and securing them a gruesome death. His body was immediately buried by Jaheira and fellow Harpers in the Thorm family mausoleum under Wraithwin. This, as you may know, was not the end of Ketheric Thorm. Over a century would pass until Myrkul, the god of death, appeared before the dead Ketheric and offered him a deal: the resurrection of his daughter Isabel in exchange for Ketheric's body and soul in service to Myrkul, to become his chosen and bring death to the world. Of course, Ketheric accepted, now undead, was revived alongside Balthazar, and the pair quickly began working. We can catch a glimpse into the psyche of Ketheric proper by reading his journal, left in the family's mausoleum, surrounded by expired Myrkulite rituals. How can she be gone? Where did she go? The Moon Maiden cannot be so unfeeling, so cruel, not toward her most devoted servant, not after Melodia. It makes no sense. I won't survive it, that much I know. Forgetting is the only possibility, the embrace of oblivion, the reprieve of nothingness. It would not be possible for a man to survive knowing what he knows, knowing what can be lost. Shar understands that. Hers is the only mercy I can comprehend. My mind is full of holes, yet not enough. The emptiness, the time, the nothingness, and still I remember it all. There is no mercy in this beating heart. There is no mercy in life at all. Forgetting evades me in this infinite darkness. Balthazar is my own source of the barest comfort, the thought that, perhaps, she might be brought back to me. If oblivion can fail, what defense have we against death? None except its mastery. Balthazar's words have never felt more promising. Melodia would understand if she knew my aim. She too, I believe, would have turned to Myrkul under such conditions as these. Our darling will live again. What kind of man would I be if I didn't raise the world entire for her sake? This final line sticks out and really tells you all you need to know about who Ketheric Thorm really is. Truly, the only thing he cares about is his family. Balthazar performed a ritual to bind the still imprisoned Dame Aelin's soul to that of Ketheric's, rendering him immortal just as she. This would make Ketheric virtually unstoppable without first releasing Dame Aelin. When Isabel was revived, She was horrified at what her father had become, what lengths he had gone to achieve her resurrection, and what he had done to her lover, Dame Aelin. Isabel denounced her father and fled into the darkness, which was actually the shadow curse which now had spread across the entire region. However, she was unaffected, protected by the light of her goddess, Seluna, and was able to make it to Last Light Inn, where she would meet Jaheira and learn of the situation, joining them and protecting the inn in defiance of her father. Ketheric, having lost his daughter once more, would continue his descent into darkness, having no meaning or purpose other than to bring death and destruction to the world in the name of Myrkul, becoming the epitome of true evil. This is where the events of Baldur's Gate 3 pick up, but Ketheric's character remains largely unchanged throughout the game, cold, callous, and brutal, as seen with Minthara and the goblins. However, there is one moment I would like to discuss. After releasing Dame Aelin, thus rendering Ketheric mortal once more, the party makes contact with him atop Moonrise Towers, where in conversation, Ketheric can be partially persuaded into surrendering when mentioning the idea of redemption and how his wife Melodia would want him to do the right thing. He doesn't believe he can be redeemed, but for a split second, he lets his guard down and nearly surrenders without a fight, before once again being emboldened by the power and duty granted to him by Myrkul. So with this, at the very end, we know that Ketheric knew what he had done was wrong, and he was remorseful, if at least during moments of reflection, which he was somehow still capable of, despite the humanity he had lost from Shar, Myrkul, and everything he's done. Shortly after, even after transforming into the Apostle of Myrkul, Ketheric would be defeated in battle, ending his second and final life. There is a silver lining to his death, that being the reuniting of Isabel and Dame Aelin, a moment that would have never been possible had Ketheric never accepted the deal with Myrkul. Should this moment have ever happened? No, but it is, if anything, cathartic. While Ketheric Thorm was not evil to begin with, he was a family man, broken from the losses of those he loved more than anything. And though his motives could be described as understandable to a degree, or to some, even benevolent, the actions he took and decisions he made, from repeatedly murdering and torturing Dame Aelin to releasing the shadow curse upon the land, would lead him down an unredeemable path of hatred and destruction, which would ruin and claim the lives of many innocent people who certainly did not deserve their fate. He was a man that let his love and passion for his family drive him to commit countless atrocities, and ultimately reach a point of no return, where his only purpose was to bring pain, suffering, and death to the world. The story of Ketheric Thorm is one of tragedy, hubris, and evil. I want to end this video with a note found in game, so stay tuned until the end, because before that, I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Between Good and Evil. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on your thoughts about Ketheric Thorm and what character you'd like me to cover in a future episode. If you'd like to further support Purge Evil, you can do so by joining the Patreon, becoming a channel member, or by simply donating with the link found below. Patreon members can gain the most benefits, with access to written builds, guides, and more to come, while channel members will receive early access to videos, as well as some other minor benefits. A big thank you to my supporters. It is with your help that I am able to make these videos, and hopefully one day turn it into something more. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, Purge Evil. I will now read a letter written to Ketheric by his wife, Melodia, when she was dying of illness. My darling husband, I know my time is drawing near. I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave our little girl. But I'm not writing to lament our lot. It's ours and no others. Though the city of judgment is dark, I know Our Lady's light will find me even there. I will see her shining spires and walk the silver gardens we've both dreamt of. I go to my reward and leave quite a task to you yet, my heart. Seluna's light shines bright in our little one, but she will need a guide to keep on her path. I have no doubt that she will keep you on yours. It is the same path, Our Lady's path, and one day I know it will bring you both back to me. Only not too soon, I hope. I won't say goodbye. There is no loss, only temporary separation. How I love you, forever, Melodia.